Janaranjana
Jashodanandana Brajajanaranjana
Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana
Jashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jashodanandana
Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana
Jamuna Tira Banachari
Jamuna Tira Vanachari
Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya
Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya
Jaya
Prabhupada Jaya
Prabhupada
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya
Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So
Hare Krishna.
I'd like to welcome all of you. Our dear friend Subha Vilas Prabhu, he invited me to come, and my well-wishers, Barun Prabhu, they're all here. So I feel very happy. So we began by chanting a song that I was told, all these years I never heard, that Prabhupada is even sang this once from the memory tape. So we all can repeat after this with your folded hand. And Achyutananda Prabhu already has a tape from 70s on that too. And then I found out Prabhupada was singing that too. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the one who wrote it. Brahma bale chaturmukhe.
Brahma
Brahma
Bale
bole
Please repeat after
chaturmukhe.
this. Brahma bale chaturmukhe.
Brahma Bale Chaturmukhe.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Mahadeva Panchamukhe.
Mahadeva Panchamukhe.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Rama
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And they sing actually. Brahma Bale Chaturmukhe Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Mahadeva Panchamukhe Rama Rama Hare Hare Brahma Bale Chaturmukhe Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Mahadeva Panchamukhe Rama Rama Hare Hare. So today we're going to recite Srila Prabhupada's beautiful purport on Lord Shiva. I'll have a few classes actually, different temple, even Vancouver temple wanted to hear about Shiva Tattva. So I thought we'll begin today with Shiva Tattva so we can go on a few days on Shiva Tattva. So this text, Adi Lila chapter 6, text 79, we can recite that probably together. But before that, we can evoke the mercy of Srila Prabhupada by singing Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading from Adi Lila chapter 6, text 79. Ananta Brahmande Rudra Sada Siver Angsa Guna Avatar Tehu Sarva Deha Avatangsa. Ananta Brahmande Rudra Sada Sivera Angsa Guna Avatar Tehu Sarva Deva Avatangsa. One more time. Ananta Brahmandera Rudra Sada Sivera Angsa Guna Avatar Tehu Sarva Deva Avatangsa. Translation and purport. Barun Prabhu, would you like to read? Can you see the screen?
Prabhuji, can you unmute and speak? Can you please unmute, Prabhuji?
Barun Prabhu, you have to unmute.
Okay. Can you
That's
hear me
good.
now?
Yes,
Can
good.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Rudra, who is an expansion of Sada Shiva and who appears in unlimited universes, is also a guna avatar, qualitative incarnation, and is the ornament of all the demigods in the endless universes. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 11 expansions of Rudra or Lord Shiva. They are as follows. Ajay, Kapat, Anab, I can't see it because something is there. Virupaksha, Raivata, Hara, Bahurupa, Devashreshta, Triambaka, Savitra, Jayanta, Pinaki, and Aparajita. Besides these expansions, there are 8 forms of Rudra called earth, water, fire, air, sky, the sun, the moon, and Somayaji. Generally, all these Rudras have 5 faces, 3 eyes, and 10 arms. Sometimes it is found that Rudra is compared to Brahma and considered a living entity. But when Rudra is explained to be a partial expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is compared to Lord Shesha. Lord Shiva is therefore simultaneously an expansion of Lord Vishnu and, in his capacity for annihilating the creation, one of the living entities. As an expansion of Lord Vishnu, he is called Hara, and he is transcendental to the material qualities. But when he is in touch with Tamoguna, he appears contaminated by the material modes of nature. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam and the Brahma Samhita. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, it is stated that Lord Rudra is always associated with the material nature when she is in the neutral unmanifested stage. You have to put the page up. Can someone put the page up? Okay, thank you. Where was I? Oh yeah, but when the modes of material nature are agitated, he associates with material nature from a distance. In the Brahma Samhita, the relationship between Vishnu and Lord Shiva is compared to that between milk and yogurt. Milk is converted into yogurt by certain additives, but although milk and yogurt have the same ingredients, they have different functions. Similarly, Lord Shiva is an expansion of Lord Vishnu. Yet, because of his taking part in the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation, he is considered to be changed, like milk converted into yogurt. In the Puranas, it is found that Shiva appears sometimes from the heads of Brahma and sometimes from the head of Vishnu. The annihilator Rudra is born from Sankarshan and the ultimate fire to burn the whole creation. In the Vayu Purana, there is a description of Sadashiva in one of the Vaikuntha planets, that Sadashiva is a direct expansion of Lord Krishna's form for pastimes. It is said that Sadashiva, Lord Shambhu, is an expansion from the Sadashiva in the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu, and that his consort, Mahamaya, is an expansion of Rama Devi or Lakshmi. Mahamaya is the origin or birthplace of material nature.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So we would like to invoke the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. You can join if you would like, mentally or physically, by folding hand and invoking the mercy. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitamcha. Now, if you'd like, you can offer some flower with your subtle body as we go to the parampara. It is a good practice meditation. It burns all your bad karma immediately. Even good karma, all things will be burned, unwanted things. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatta Deshatarine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Srivarsavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripadaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Nama Adurja Ujjala Premadha Sri Rupanuga Bhaktidam Sri Gaura Karuna Sakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddha Siddhanta Danta Harine Nama Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambodhe Padambu Jayate Namo Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Sakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestam Nitesta Sajjana Priya Vaisnava Sarvabhaumasi Jagannathaya Te Nama Pancha Kalpatarubhesya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. First of all, I'm very grateful to be here, and thanks to Subhavilas Prabhu and all the devotees in Tampa for your kind mercy that you wanted to engage me to serve you all. So I'm thankful to you. I'm very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for making this wonderful ISKCON where the Sadhu Sangha are access. All over the world, Sadhu Sanghas are possible because Srila Prabhupada created this society of sadhus. It's such a wonderful, biggest gift ever found in this planet. So I'm eternally indebted to Prabhupada for that. I'm also very grateful to all the devotees who have come to participate, taking your valuable time in this morning, but you choose to discuss about and glorify Lord Shiva in relation to Krishna, in relation to Maya, in relation to living entity. This is a beautiful purport we just read, Srila Prabhupada gave. And I hope you caught something that Lord Shiva is living entity. Also, he is a Vishnu Tattva. And in between, it's very confusing. Never ever you will find any other Tattva as confusing as Shiva Tattva. Jiva Goswami Pad says that Dhamma Tattva is also difficult. If you go to Vrindavan, looks like material world or part of India, but at the same time, it is nothing to do with the material world or India. This is very difficult. Same thing with the deity. The fourth tattva, Jiva Goswami Pad says, difficult to comprehend. The deities, all-knowing, that supreme absolute truth in this body. But I remember the Jaipur Wala, he was curbing this deity. How can it be all omnipotent, omniscient, everything right here in this body? And this is everything. The whole creation is inside the body and outside. This is very difficult for a living entity like me to comprehend. So, but if we have a strong faith, Krishna can reveal. Just like a one question raised by this so-called professor, he says if infinite is perceived by the finite, then it cannot be infinite. So the reply was given that if infinite cannot reveal himself to the finite, then he is not infinite. And the professor was dumbstruck. He said, that's true, that's beyond. So Mahaprabhu has proved this. If we look at Mahaprabhu's identity, many Acharya has given, but one identity in Chaitanya Charitamrita 1.3 says, Jad Advaita Brahmopanishadi Tadupasya Tanubha Jo Atmantarjami Purusha Sahasangsa Vibhava Sara Ishadja Purna Bhagavan Jasayamayam Na Chaitannat Krishna Jagati Paratatta Paramiha. All pervasive, comprehensive, unlimited is this form, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mother Sachi's son. How? Yes. And he is the origin of all Paramatma everywhere and anywhere. Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Shiradakshay Vishnu, Karandakshay Vishnu, all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's partial expansion. And Sara Ishwarja Purna, all six opulence possessor, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All three in one in this little boy Nimai playing in the courtyard of Mother Sachi. This is very difficult to comprehend, but with faith, Mahaprabhu can reveal. So today's discussion is about Shiva Tattva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I'm going to come back to this purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gave a very nice conclusion on Shiva Tattva, how to understand. He says, there is a two Tattva is very important. One is Swatantra Ishwar Koti Sarva Bepak Chaitanya. Swatantra Ishwar Koti Sarva Bepak Chaitanya means fully independent Sarat Bhagavan, who is complete consciousness. He is everywhere simultaneously. He is by his own right, for himself, by himself, of himself. That is Swatantra Ishwar. And then there is another conscious being called Aswatantra Jiva Koti Dehamatra Vepi. In other words, there is unlimited Jiva who are eternally subordinate. And they are in a different category. So the Swatantra Koti, Ishwar Koti, there are two types of Bhagavan. One is complete free from Maya, touch. Another conception of Bhagavan, that for the Lila Hetu, for the purpose of Lila, performing Lila, come in contact with Maya. So this way we have to reconcile. First of all, who is Shiva? We have some idea. I'm sure you all can contribute if I ask you who is Shiva. So there is a triangle from this purport. If you look at the purport, very light, word to word Prabhupada mentioned, we can see the all aspect of Shiva we can categorize by three ways. One is Shiva as Vishnu Tattva. Origin of Shiva is Gopeshwar Mahadev, and Padma Puran gives it very clear that when Supreme Absolute Truth wanted to enjoy his own pastimes, from his left side, a most attractive, most beautiful personality appeared who had two things, had a Raga and Dhavati. Raga means incessant, passionate love for the Lord. And every way she would fulfill that. So the Acharyas, they take that Raga and Dhavati, first letter of each Sanskrit word, and known as Radha. That came from the left side of the Lord, and from his right side, a wonderful personality appeared to accommodate the Lords to enjoy. That's the origin of Shiva. So that's Shiva is known as Sadasiva in the spiritual world, and also known as Gopeshwar Mahadev, Advaita Acharya. Different manifestation is there. They are all Vishnu Tattva, so this is a one category. So I want everybody to keep track. I don't want to go off. First of all, three ways we can know the Lord Shiva in relation to the origin Supreme Lord Krishna. One is Tattvagata Vichar. Tattvagata Vichar means what is ontological truth. Ontological truth means that which stands by its own right. Not relative truth. Relative truth can be time, place, circumstances, not necessarily it stands on its own. So Tattvagata Vichar means consideration of the absolute or ontological truth. So first manifestation of Shiva Tattva is Vishnu Tattva, Shiva. Second comes Shambhu Tattva Shiva. And I'm going to give you a few things, and then we'll go little past times and we can have some discussion, perhaps. Shambhu Tattva Shiva is where most of the devotees are familiar. The famous verse from Brahma Samhita, you are familiar with, about milk and the curd. Chiram jatha dadivikara visesa jogat sanjayate. Everybody is familiar with that sloka and class. I'm sure you heard many times. So I'm going to give a little synopsis about that. This marginal position, not spiritual world, not material world. in between, it's a marginal. That is Shiva Loka. Goloka namni nijadhamni taleshatasya devi mahesa haridhameshu teshu teshu te te prabhavo nichaya vihitascha jena govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. If you look at that verse, it says where Shiva is and where Krishna is and where Maya is. So Goloka namni, by the name of Goloka, this is my translation, the way I understand. Goloka namni nijadhamni. This is his own abode, own home, private home. The Lord is expressing here, Brahmaji of course speaking, but Lord is expressing that this is his private home. Goloka namni nijadhamni taleshatasya. And below that, Haridham. Haridham means the Oisharjagata Bhagavan. It's the same God who has a private house and public house. Private house is Golok Vrindavan. Nijadhamni, he calls him Nijadhamni, means his own personal. But then below is Haridham, means his manifestation of opulence aspect. Then below that is Mahesh Dham, what we call Shiva Dham. And below that is Devi Dham, or material world. So I'm going to discuss few minutes on the Mahesh Dham. This is a very important. We all are every day practicing Bhakti Yoga, doing sadhana. And ultimate purpose of that sadhana that we are doing, to get out of the material world. It's not a location, it's another level of reality. Everybody understanding that point, right? It is not a location like India is a other side of the globe. Not like this, not that kind of location. The spiritual world is a different level of reality. We have to be in pure goodness contact. If we can come in contact with pure goodness, you could be in that reality while you are in Tempa or Alachua. You don't have to drop this body to see or serve there while you are also connected here. So it's a different reality. It's not a location by the geography or border. So Mahesh Dham, this is in the marginal between spiritual and material. This marginal position is represented as Shiva, which is Chetana, consciousness as a whole, which gives some deep connection in the misconceived aspect of the world. Try to understand that. That Shiva has a deep connection in the misconceived aspect of the world. That portion of the world has been described as Shiva Loka. The master of misconception. The relativity is eternal. The conscious relativity, the relativity of consciousness with misconception, that aspect is known as Rudra or Shiva.
Can you repeat that, Prabhu? I did not follow completely what you said.
As I was explaining in the Brahma Samhita, that how Golok Dham is his personal abode, and then his beautiful Vaikuntha Dham, Hari Dham. Then below that is Mahesh Dham. Then below that is Devi Dham. Yes, this picture depicts that. Very good. That on the top is Golok Dham, where Radha Krishna, you can see that with Ashtasakis. And that's our destiny. We are trying to go there. Mahaprabhu came to give us that. Never given before. That's why it says never given before. It's not that no incarnation comes and gives. They give. But nobody ever can give this except Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They can give you for Vaikuntha. So below Vaikuntha, then there is a Shiva Dham. If we can make it little bigger, it's Kailash. See right there. It is not in material world. It is not inside the spiritual world. It's in the middle, marginal. I call it marginal. So this marginal position, yes, very good. Marginal position is also has a two division. One is Siddhaloka, there's another Siddhaloka there, where all the people, all the demons that get killed by Vishnu, they merge. They merge actually right there. And the above is Shiva Loka and below is Siddhaloka in Kailash Dham. But Kailash Dham, you can see it's a border. It's not in the spiritual world. It's not in the material world. It's right in between. When Jiva consciousness as a whole, this Tatastha Shakti, we are, where in carrying and out carrying current mixed together, obsession, proper conception and misconception. Everybody understand that. Proper conception, I am a servant, Krishna is my Lord, my eternal position is service. These three things, eternal truth. Lover, love, beloved. Prabhupada calls service, servant, served. You'll see in the purport of Bhagavatam. This eternal, these three truth is based on our entire philosophy, Mahaprabhu's teachings. But there is a misconception, well, I am an enjoyer. Maybe I can own the entire Florida. Jiva is never an owner. Jiva is never a master. Jiva is not looking for his own interest. In his constitutional, he is always servant, always serving, and is joyful. Jiva is not supposed to be miserable. So there is a misconception and there is a proper conception. So when the misconception and proper conception meeting place, that is called Shiva Loka. It's a very important to understand that point. Why? Because in order to go to Golok Vrindavan, you have to pass through that. Even the last layer of this universe, each universe, it's called Mahakalapuram, it's Shiva, time. False ego representative. I'm going to come to that. So that middle planetary system or middle marginal state where the Jiva, let's go back again. So the proper conception and misconception meeting point, that portion of consciousness which is eternally connected with misconception, that consciousness is known as Rudra or Shiva, or you can say Maya's Dham. It's the same, we are not arguing with the name, it's the same. So again, when without consciousness, matter has got no value. We all know that. No table will reveal that it is a table. No house will reveal I am a house. It is the conscious being, we, conscious being, we say this is house, this is table. So without consciousness, matter has got no value. We know that. None to understand. Without consciousness, nothing can be or nothing can come to be cognizable. So because we have some conception of the material world conception has some sort of position. Otherwise, it's quite darkness. You all are familiar with Pradhan and Mahata. What is the difference between Pradhan and Mahata? One is unknown, one is visible. That's all. It's the same substance. Just like a child in the mother's womb, until the womb become bigger, then everybody say, oh, she is pregnant. But the child was there when she got pregnant, 1 week, 2 weeks, no sign that there is a child. But child is there. Similarly, without consciousness, nothing can be or nothing can come to be cognizable. So the consciousness which is in connection with misconception, proper conception, not proper conception, but misconception, is eternally connected. That sort of consciousness is called Shiva consciousness. Shiva consciousness means I am a spirit soul, I am also enjoyer of Maya. Krishna owns everything, but Krishna made Shiva the king of the material world. He is the master of the Maya. He is the husband of Maya. Krishna directly does not touch Maya. So Sadashiva is a little higher consciousness, as I mentioned, Vishnu Tattva, which is attending towards Vaikuntha service. But you cannot separate Sadashiva from Rudra Shiva or Mahesh Shiva. They are all interconnected. Brahma Samhita, there is another Tadlinga Bhagavan Sambhu. Another, you will see another verse is given. We were just reading other day in the temple. So Sadashiva towards this Maika world begins creation of the material world. That is Bhagavan Sambhu, that portion, Shiva. On the whole, that conscious portion which is eternally connected with material consciousness or enjoying consciousness is consciousness known as Shiva. I'm repeating the different way. Just as milk, when in connection with the acid, becomes curd. That doesn't mean Krishna became Shiva. Try to understand it. This is a misconception, understanding. That example only giving that the source of Shiva or the source of the milk, yogurt is milk. Means Shiva has no separate existence. Shiva comes from Krishna, but Shiva is not Krishna. Yogurt never can become milk. From milk, yogurt can be made. But yogurt or curd can never make milk back. This isn't just to emphasize the source of Shiva. Not that Krishna was the milk, now he became Shiva. No, not that exactly. That is not proper to understand. Krishna does not become something. Everything, Krishna means everything within him. He never transformed. He is nirvikar. Eko Brahma Ditya Nasti. But the conception of Eko Brahma Ditya Nasti, the impersonalists, they think without potency. But we never accept Krishna as a supreme God without Radha. This is, I hope, everybody clear. Without potency, we never accept God as a supreme absolute. Our ontological understanding is Radha Krishna Vaiche Sada Eki Sarup. You can look at it 115, I mean Chaitanya Charitamrita, first, 5th verse, 6th verse of Adi Lila beginning. This is completely established. Radha Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasma Dekatmana Bhuvi Pura Deho Vedam Gyatoto Chaitanyakam Prakatamaduna Taddayam Chaikamaptam Radha Bhavuddhuti Subalitam Naumi Krishna Sarupam. The God is one. He became two. Radha Krishna. Now they are again uniting as Mahaprabhu. God is never two. They are one, but they took a two form. You cannot take Krishna as a supreme God without Radha. It is improper. Those who are worshipping Krishna without Shakti, Radharani, it is improper and imperfect. in Nairobi temple when Prabhupada went there on a Janmashtami night. So they decorated the altar very nice. And they put Krishna, and Radharani was not visible there. And Prabhupada with his cane, he was making a very heavy sound. Who has done this? Who has done this? So one devotee came and he didn't understand. He said, Prabhupada, isn't it beautiful like a Vrindavan forest? But he didn't get it. Prabhupada said, no, who has done this? And so the head pujari comes. Who has done what, Prabhupada? I'm sorry. He said, where is Srimati Radharani? Oh, she's hiding in the bush. He said, no, never separate them. They're always together. Don't come up with some idea. So therefore, we don't even accept a painting, Radharani herself or Krishna alone. Krishna is never alone. It's a misconception. Krishna is always with his potency. That conception is correct. So the conscious portion, I'll finish with this because that's a long subject. So the conscious person that has come in connection with Maya misconception. Maya means misconception, where each of us can think, yes, very good, very good. Wow, you already type it out. So the conscious person that has come in connection with Maya misconception cannot avoid it, cannot free it as a whole. That portion is known as Shiva. We're not talking about Vishnu Tattva Shiva. We're talking about the conception of Shiva that well known in the world is not clear. There are misconceptions. They think some ignorant people, they may accept that Krishna, the Shiva is same as Krishna, or Shiva is origin, Krishna is the incarnation. All kinds of bogus misconception comes. And that misconception is also eternally exist. This is the bad part. There is adharma also eternally exist. It is not like something new. Like Kali. Kali is a bad person in a sense, but Kali is also eternal. It's temporary manifestation, but Kali is eternal also, that position. Maya is eternal, but temporary manifestation, like that. So the ostentatious enjoyer of this material property, that function, where you getting this? Where Bangsi Bilas Prabhu thinks that he can be the enjoyer of entire Florida. Where do you come up with this? If you ask me, did you ever think you could be the owner of the whole planet? Sure, but where this idea coming from? Is it possible that living entity can think like this? No, not possible. But Shiva is the master of this material world. So when we misuse our free will, enter into the material world, this consciousness enters into us. Try to understand this. Then our consciousness, just like a water, became ice. Now the liquidity of the water is lost, apparently. It's not lost, but it's apparently lost. In the ice, you will never see the liquidity, will you? No. But you know with intelligence that if the ice is out of the freezing condition, eventually it will turn back to the liquidity. So we have a love for Krishna, we are eternally servant. But the consciousness, Shiva consciousness, entered and altered our consciousness. Prabhupada's lecture, original lecture on the holy name, where Prabhupada gave the beautiful explanation, how this transformation of consciousness. It's the same thing here. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur gave a commentary, Jiva Goswami Pada gave a commentary on that sloka in Brahma Samhita, Shirabdi. So relativity of consciousness, which is in the relativity of misconception, that portion is known as Shiva. Mayantu Prakritim Vidhim Mayinam tu Maheshwara. It's in Brahma Samhita also, in the purport we saw. Maheshwara is always mine. He is the master of this misconception world. Misconception means false identification. Then there is a one at the back who got that misconception, that misinterpretation, misenjoyment mood. What is that? Shiva. That is Shiva. When Jiva, living entity, means a particular consciousness, when he goes up to cross this ocean of misunderstanding, just released, but still in the relativity of this Maya, he may be in the position of Shiva. I don't know if any one of you ever heard a sloka called Jatra Jiva Tatra Shiva. That is also in our Purana. Jatra Jiva Tatra Shiva. How is this? Is this true? Yes, it is true. In conditional state, you think you can enjoy this Prabhu or this Mataji. You are the enjoyer. You can be the landlord of entire Alachua. I mean, it's not artificial. We think sometimes. How is possible? Because consciousness is altered. It is not a proper consciousness. Misconception or misidentification entered into the proper conception and it made a khichuri or something hotspot. That conception is Shiva conception or consciousness. The one who cannot catch the incurring current. Incurring current means I am servant of Krishna. How can I think I'm not a owner? This is Krishna's house. I'm just a servant. This is not my wife. She's a maid servant of Krishna. I'm just taking care of them. These are not my children. It's given to me by Krishna to serve them, to raise them to be attracted by Krishna, to be attracted to Krishna. So there is a proper conception we are trying in Krishna consciousness, but we had a misconception. I am the owner of this house. I am the husband. I am the ruler. I am this. I am that. So misconception and proper conception. This is all about the middle Sambhutattva Shiva. The one, so when I say incurring current means that I want to serve the Lord. I am a servant. You really feel like you want to be just servant. You are servant, that's all. But there is also, after 1 hour, 2 hours, I think, I can enjoy, sure. I like to enjoy the world. I like to have extra money, maybe a few $1 billion or whatever. I could have a more wife or more husband, whatever. This enjoyment spirit is also there side by side. So everybody understanding? That's called outer current. Going out from your own existence. Both are there. Have you ever seen a river? Actually, it's in Bhagavatam. Prabhupada said, I have a friend, MVP, she made a drawing of opposite current. Where opposite current meet, that is called Shiva. The one who cannot catch this incurring current, but the out-carrying current, he has a vastly state of out-carrying, and in the margin, cannot catch this incurring center of current. That is marginal consciousness. The understanding and misunderstanding, the meeting point. Everybody understand that? Understanding, proper understanding and misunderstanding. Where they meet, this meeting point is Shiva. When you come this side, you are conditional. You go other side, you are liberated. But where they meet, the liberation and bondage, the meeting point is the Shiva Loka, or Lord Shiva himself. As Prabhupada says, there is another verse actually 20.311 is even more confusing, that Shiva is actually product of Maya. Shiva is a master of Maya. Shiva is also product of Maya. Subha Vilas Prabhu, you can go on Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya chapter 20, 311, I think. It will confuse you, but it's not confusion. We just have to understand the truth as it is. Misconception means I have got something separate existence. I would ask somebody who is there. Bangshi Prabhu, can you read, or Subha Vilas Prabhu, can you read this, please?
Shiva Maya Shakti Sangeetamo Guna Vesha Maya Atita Gunatita Vishnu Paramesha. Lord
Translation.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Shiva is an associate of the external energy. Therefore, he is absorbed in the material quality of darkness. Lord Shiva is transcendental to Maya and the qualities of Maya. Therefore, he is the supreme personality of Godhead.
Purport, please.
Silas Prabhu, you want to continue?
Yes, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, everyone. Purport. Vishnu is beyond the range of material manifestation, and he is not within the control of the material energy. He is the supreme independent personality of Godhead. This is admitted even by Shankaracharya, Narayana Paro Vyaktat, Gita Bhashya. In this constitutional form, Shiva is Maha Bhagavata, a supreme devotee of the Lord. But because he accepts Maya's association, especially the quality of ignorance, he is not free from Maya's influence. Such an intimate association is completely absent in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Lord Shiva accepts Maya, but in the presence of Lord Vishnu, Maya does not exist. Consequently, Lord Shiva has to be considered a product of Maya. When Lord Shiva is free from Maya's influence, he is in the position of Maha Bhagavata, a supreme devotee of Lord Vishnu. Vaishnavanam Yada Shambhu.
Prabhu, the last sentence, can you read one more time? That Shiva is a product of Maya, also he is out of Maya, both.
When Lord Shiva is free from Maya's influence, he is the position of Maha Bhagavata, a supreme devotee of Lord Vishnu. Vaishnavanam Yada Shambhu.
And the line before?
Lord Shiva accepts Maya, but in the presence of Lord Vishnu, Maya does not exist. Consequently, Lord Shiva has to be considered a product of Maya.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So everybody, you can get a reference, so many reference, that Shiva is both. He is a product of Maya. He is the in charge of all the ignorance. He is also under the ignorance. He is also above the ignorance. Almost contradictory. Literally, almost contradictory. He is actually full of knowledge. At the same time, he is also under ignorance. And everybody that get ignorance is because they are coming under his control. Of course, through his Maya, through his wife, he rules everything. So back to this. Let's see, what is the time now? Okay. Oh, it's almost like 10 o'clock. I didn't even do anything else. I'm sorry. This is like too much, maybe. So as long as we understood this, that's enough. That there is a three Shiva. One is Vishnu Tattva Shiva. Another is Sambhu Tattva Shiva. Another is Rudra Tattva Shiva. So what is related to you, I'm going to tell you. You want to get out of the material nature? You take shelter, two things. You have to be under guidance guru, and you have to be engaged in devotional service. If you have these two things, then you will come to a point where you will have to pass through the Shiva Loka. Shiva Loka is you are out of Maya, but you are not in spiritual world. And a lot of devotees sometimes come to this point where they want to go to spiritual world, but they cannot give up the material enjoyment spirit. And they're stuck there. Be careful, you may come back again. That's why we see even a stalwart advanced sannyasi, sometimes they fell down because of that. This gives very clear understanding. I'm just giving in a short way to understand. Also, I was searching in Shivaratri in our Veda base, you can look. And Prabhupada did mention about how Brajavashi observed Shivaratri, not as a compulsory, but sometimes they do. It's in 10th Canto, chapter 34, explain about Shivaratri night, where you all remember Nanda Maharaj, everybody went and he was swollen by the snake. And that pastime took place. So that was Sankachura, Vidyadhara liberated. That Vidyadhara was became a snake. So origin of Shiva, as we understand so far, is Gopeshwar Mahadev, Vishnu Tattva Shiva, and then you have a Mahesh Dham, Shiva Tattva Shiva, or you can say Shambhu Tattva Shiva is different than Vishnu Tattva Shiva. Everybody understood that part, right? I hope I didn't confuse that. There's a completely difference. Gopeshwar Mahadev is Vishnu Tattva Shiva. He appeared just to increase the lila. And Shambhu Tattva Shiva came just to give the engagement of conditioned soul, those who misuse free will, to enjoy the material nature and to come back and cross back to his abode, to go back Vaikuntha or Golok. And we also discussed a little bit that how Krishna is Shiva is a destroyer. At the same time, he is also the ingredient cause of creation, just the opposite. He is a predominating deity of ignorance, also simultaneously reservoir of absolute knowledge. He is a clever cheater. At the same time, he is the most merciful Lord, both. He is a cheater, cheating the cheaters, and also he gives mercy. His associates are ghost, goblin, witches, you'll see. At the same time, he also has a associate like great sages, demigods, Lord himself. Even in Gaur Arati, like today, evening we'll chant Gaur Arati, the last line we say, Shiva Shiva Sukhanarada Preme Goda Goda. Even Lord Shiva comes to participate in the Gaur Arati. Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw, he wrote that. So, how to understand Shiva Tattva? You can read Brihad Bhagavatamrita very nicely. Narad Muni's conversation with Shiva explained where Shiva's actually truth revealed, why he does things he does. Of course, that conversation is so beautiful that Narad Muni was saying that how he is such an advanced, he is the best of all devotees. But Lord Shiva, out of humility, did not take it that way. And he gave a reason. His reason was, you know, I always wear ashes from the cemetery grounds. I wear garland of skulls. How can I be the best devotee? That's not possible. Do you see all my associates are ghosts, witches? Anybody in the audience would like to have a ghost in your body, in your life, in your house? Nobody wants it, honestly. But that's what Shiva said. But they are always surrounding me. How can I be the best devotee? Nobody thinks like that. And then he says, if I'm so dear to Krishna, why he ordered me to take care of the ignorance and go under the ignorance also? This is very difficult. To destroy the universe, he has to embrace the ignorance. And then he says, I am not the biggest devotee. Of course he is, but out of humility, he says, how could possible that I, as a Shankaracharya, preach against God? Preach against God means what? The three principles, as I mentioned, the eternal truth. He said, no, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattamasi, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. I am Brahman, Tattamasi, you are also Brahman. I am God, you God. Everything is God. Eko Brahma Ditya Nasti. There is only one Brahman. There is no other two. We are all that Brahman. So I preach against. I did not preach devotional service. How can you say I am great devotee? And then Narad Muni started completely taking it other side. He said, no, you are such a great personality because you came as a Shankaracharya. Why? Just to separate the innocent people from the demoniac nature. If he did not, and I related this like I mentioned many years back, I went to emergency one time with my friend. His finger got cut, Arjuna. So I went to Shan's and I was waiting for 3 hours because our case is not as urgent as other cases. And I was not feeling well, but after 4 or 5 hours, waiting, all of a sudden one lady came and they just immediately took her inside. And I was a little bit, irritated because I have to get up for Mangalarti and go back to work, but I'm there 4 or 5 hours in emergency for some stitches for my friend. So then at that time, I went to the reception. I said, how come you allow this lady just came in and you allow all the way in? And we're waiting. She said, sir, you don't want to be around. She has the deadly contagious disease. And immediately shocked me. I said, oh, I see. He said, we had to take her in immediately. She cannot be in waiting room. So it made sense. So I relate to this, that why Shankaracharya came, that he came because the demoniac nature was ruling the world. He came 700 AD just to separate those demoniac natures separately from the innocent public. Srila Prabhupada says that majority people, 95% or 90%, he said, I forgot exactly, he said are innocent. They are like a flower. You can bring them to Krishna and offer. And those 5% or 10% demoniac nature, ruler of the world, they are like a thorn of the flower plant. They cannot be offering to God. You cannot offer a thorn to someone. I don't know if anybody ever did it. Hey, I bought some flower for you. It's good. Would you ever say, I got some thorn for you? For what? Nobody offer thorn. So those demoniac nature are like a thorn. They causes pain. Just to separate them from innocence, Shankaracharya appeared. Shiva came just for the welfare of the being. So Narad Muni glorified him. And of course, he said some example like Ravana, Brikasura, Salla, Jayadratha. I'll just give one example if we have few minutes. Is that okay, Subhavilas Prabhu? Just few minutes.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Okay. So how Shiva cheating the cheaters? How Shiva, he cheats the cheaters. So for an example, Ravana, Brikasura, Salla, Jayadratha, Kamsa, these are all cheaters. And Shiva is the incarnation who likes to cheat them and they don't know because they are cheated, they get cheated. So I'll give an example of Jayadratha. Jayadratha, in Mahabharata we know that how one of many demons who received such clever benediction from Shiva, Duryodhana, the paternal cousins of 5 Pandavas brothers, their sister Dushala married to Jayadratha. And Jayadratha, from the very beginning, while in Aggatavas, Pandava married to Draupadi, Jayadratha had a crush on her. He always wanted her. And there was a pastimes Prabhupada put in a purport where Jayadratha had noticed that Draupadi was there. She was married that time, but he forced her into his chariot and she admonished him, crying, I am a wife of Pandavas, don't do this. They will kill you when they catch you. But Jayadratha's arrogance, prevented him from hearing her. So he continued his abduction. Meanwhile, the sage Narada, Dhammarishi, also Prabhupada said, approached the Pandava and informed them. Oh, I saw Jayadratha taking away Draupadi and she was weeping. And two of the Pandava, Bhima and Arjuna, immediately chase after. It's in Krishna book also, you can read. That Bhima dismounted his chariot, ran faster than Jayadratha's horse. With his bow and arrow, Arjuna created a fire. Actually, it says that one time Shiva disguised himself as a Kirata and fought with Arjuna over a boar. And Lord Shiva was very pleased with Arjuna and gave him a benediction of the Pashupati Astra, by which he could kill Jayadratha. That was before. So here, sorry. Arjuna, with his bow and arrow, with that one that Pashupati Lord Shiva gave, created a fire that surrounded the chariot of Jayadratha. Then he was caught. He could not move anymore. Severely beaten by Bhima, arrested by Arjuna, Jayadratha was bound to the chariot and taken to where Yudhishthira Maharaj had been staying with Draupadi. Now when Bhima and Arjuna spoke to Yudhishthira, their respected senior brother, Bhima urged him, I want to kill Jayadratha. Please order me to kill him. In support of Bhima, Arjuna said, Jayadratha has performed a heinous act. He should be killed. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, he replied, the offense was committed against Draupadi. We should take the case to her and we'll do whatever she orders. When Jayadratha was brought at the feet of Draupadi, she mercifully told her husbands, don't kill him, forgive him. He is our brother-in-law. If you kill him, then your cousin sister Dusala will be widowed and she will weep for the rest of her life. Such a merciful Draupadi. So Bhima and Arjuna then approached Lord Krishna, appealed to him, what should we do? Then of course Lord Krishna told them that for an honorable man, dishonor is worse than death. It's in Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna then shaved Jayadratha's head, leaving 5 patches. It's very dramatic in Bhagavatam. Explained that he shaved one side of his face, leaving the other side unshaven. It's not like we think like, oh, he could have gone and shaved. No, they put some kind of a herb that the other side doesn't grow unless they have to do a serious operation like cut off the head or something, which is difficult. So then Jayadratha felt humiliated. After being released by Bhima and Arjuna, he considered it better to have died. He thought, I will somehow or other take revenge. So thus absorbed, he went to Gangotri in Himalayas and undertook severe types of penance to please Lord Shiva. After some months, he gave up all food, water, bodily activities, was about to die. At that time, Lord Shiva appeared. Why are you doing such a severe austerity? Jayadratha replied, I want revenge against the Pandavas. I want to defeat and kill all of them. Lord Shiva told him, you can defeat the Pandavas, but only Yudhishthira, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadev, but not Arjuna. Jayadratha says, if you cannot benedict me to my full satisfaction, then please grant me neither Arjuna or anyone else will be able to kill me. See how tricky, politician type of demon. So then Lord Shiva replied, I can grant you this. If your head is severed and falls on the ground, the person who caused this will die immediately. Your life will be saved and your head will rejoin your body. You may be killed hundreds of thousands of times, but you will not die. On the other hand, if your severed head falls into your father's hand and he throws it to the ground, then you will die. Jayadratha immediately thought, my father will never do this. So he agreed, okay, Lord Shiva, give me that boon. So when the battle of Kurukshetra began, as you know, Jayadratha took the side of Pandava's enemy, Duryodhana. One evening during the battle, as the sun was setting, Jayadratha's father was absorbed in prayers, meditation, making an offering of water to the sun god. Arjuna that time, to make a short that story, that he saw the opportunity moment with a skillful release of an arrow. He severed Jayadratha's head from his body and caused it to fall into the hands of his meditating father. Now startled and without thought, Jayadratha's father tossed the head on the ground. Then opening his eyes, he exclaimed, what was that wet thing? Seeing that he has thrown his son's head, he began to cry, oh my son, you are dead now. So was that a perfect blessing of Lord Shiva? No. Why did he give this kind of? Because Jayadratha had a cheating mentality. Lord Shiva said you cannot defeat the Pandavas, but he wanted to go around it. Just like Hiranyakashipu says, okay, if I cannot get immortal, then don't let me get killed daytime, nighttime. It's like an insurance type of like a cheating mentality. So Lord Shiva cheat those who are cheaters. Like Kamsa was meditating for a long time. Lord Shiva appeared. He said, give me a boon that nobody can kill me and I will be able to kill anyone. So, well, that's very difficult. How about nobody can kill you except your nephew? He's thinking, nephew? What's the big deal about nephew? Nephew will never kill me. Of course, that time Krishna was not born. So he said, okay, no problem, nephew. Well, then God came as a nephew, Krishna. And it's kind of like he cheats the cheater. But of course, he is the ultimate benefactor of our Krishna Bhakti. He's a Gopeshwar Mahadev. Because of the time, I will not take long time. You can read about Gopeshwar Mahadev, because that was the origin form how Lord desired to enjoy the Rasa dance, and Srimati Radhika's every moment she thinks of something, a beautiful form takes over. Akar Sabha Bede Brajab Gopi Gan. Everywhere she is trying to please Krishna, every mood, every posture she has, a new gopis takes birth. That's how unlimited gopis are there. So they all have a Rasa dance, as you know. And this Gopeshwar Mahadev created pastimes. One time hearing these pastimes of Rasa dance, that Mahadev also thought, I want to dance with Krishna. But of course, when he tried to do that, he could not get access because no men are allowed in Rasa dance. Krishna is the only man. So how to become female and qualified? So he started meditating. Now one place he says Jamuna Devi came, another place he says Jogomaya came. Jogomaya appeared. He said, Mahadev, what you are looking for? Why are you meditating so severely? What do you need? He said, I want to participate in Ras Leela. Say, okay, come here. So she took him, make him dip in the Kusum Sarovar, and he came out a beautiful girl. Not exactly like Gopi, but close proximity. So when she joined in the Rasa dance, everybody noticed this very strange girl is here. Some or other, I hope you all know, in Vrindavan, you can be billion cows or billion gopi girl or billions and trillions of cows, but they all know each other. When the demon comes, one calf, Vatsasura, he came. Out of billion calf, all recognize one calf is not belongs to us, even though it looks like externally same. So they immediately made this moo sound to Krishna, and Krishna came and killed that demon. So similarly, all the gopis also felt, and Krishna himself felt, it is uncomfortable. Someone unauthorized or unqualified has entered. They looked at each other, they all know each other some or other. They found one girl, little tall and wild dancer, because Shiva is known as a Tandava Nitya dancer, not like a gopi's beautiful dance of Raslila. Tandava Nitya is also beautiful, but it's a difference for annihilation. So he finally was caught, and all the gopis asked, who are you? Where do you come from? Who is your mother-in-law? Who is your father-in-law? These are the questions, because the whoever joined there, they all have this misconception that they belongs to a family, but they gave everything to Brajananandan. So when that new gopi girl could not answer, they started slapping. Can you imagine billion girls slapping? Lord Shiva started crying. Lord Shiva started crying. Oh, help, help, Gurudev. So Jogamaya immediately appeared. Hey, don't hurt him. It's a Shiva. They're like, shocked. Shiva? What Shiva is doing here? Because Shiva has a form, Sadasiva, in Vrindavan. When Raslila or Gopi, some Gopi privately wants to meet Krishna for particular pastimes, and if Krishna does not show up, they get little depressed. So they immediately try to go to this Jogi Baba. That is Sadashiva origin. Danavir Maharaj writes in the beautiful Gurga Sugita that he sits there and he gives the counseling. That's Krishna, but in a form of Shiva origin. He counsels every gopis, and he would say, so your beloved didn't come, Nanda Maharaj's sons. No, we are so depressed. I hope he didn't forget. We're supposed to have a beautiful pastime. Oh, I think he fainted in one place. Really? So they go there and they see him still fainted there. It is the same Krishna who is the Shiva form and Nanda Maharaj's son. So they have a Swayam Rupa, Swayam Prakash. Swayam Rupa, Swayam Prakash. Then Swayam Prakash has a Prabha Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. So like this, Vaibhav Prakash is Balaram, like this extension. Swayam Prakash is like a himself manifest many. So like this in Vrindavan, that Sadasiva council, sometimes some gopi will come, that last night he didn't show up and I'm depressed, we love him, we cannot live without him. Can you tell us when you will meet? Oh sure, today 2 o'clock. Of course, they don't have a watch like ours, Rolex or something. But they have their watch by the moon. Krishna is also the moon and the sun and divides. In Vaikuntha, there is no sun and moon. But in Golok, there is a sun and moon. That is not like here, sun and moon. It's Krishna himself manifests. So then the gopis will get counsel, and if they're depressed, then this Siddheshwari Jogi, which is Sadasiva, he will say, okay, don't worry, at 2 o'clock he will come and meet you here, and you all can do the beautiful pastimes. So they will come at 2 o'clock, and sure enough, Krishna just appeared. And they say, wow, this Jogi is so powerful, he can tell us when we'll meet him, where we'll meet him. So they worship him. They worship Shiva in that sense. Not just like, we do, like we talk about the karmis, they come to deity to get things done cheaply. the doctor cannot cure my mother. So let's go to God and we'll light some incense and God can cure my mother's sickness because doctor could not do it. So it's like that kind of origin is there. The gopis, they worship Shiva in Golok for that purpose, to meet Krishna. It's very interesting. I also found Srila Prabhupada says that Brajavashi is worshipping Shiva on Shivaratri just to be close to Krishna, not any other purpose. He said like that. So then after Krishna appeared there in that, when Shiva got slapped by all these billion gopis, then he asked for some entrance to Raslila. Then Krishna appointed him. He said, okay, you cannot enter inside the Raslila, but you will be the gatekeeper. So from that day on, Lord Shiva is always there as a gatekeeper, Gopeshwar Mahadev. And gatekeeper means nobody can go there without his mercy. So I land here. I would ask everybody to fold your hand and pray to Lord Shiva with this mantra. Everybody recommended, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we should pray him on Shivaratri day. So repeat after me. Vrindavana Avanipate
Ravana Avanipate
Jaya Soma Soma Mole Jaya Soma Soma Mole
Jaya Soma Soma Mole
Sanaka Sanandana Sanatana
Sanaka Nandana
Anandana
Sanatana
Sanatana Narada Idde
Narada Ide
Gopishara
Gopishwara
Brajabilasi
Brajabilasi
Juga Angri Padme
Yoga Angri Padme
Prema Prajacha
Prema Prayacha
Nirupadi
Nirupadi
Namo Namaste.
Namo Namaste.
This is the verse we can memorize. I chant sometime when I drive because we want Gopishwar Mahadeva's mercy. Without mercy of Shiva, we cannot enter into Krishna's Rasa dance. You may say, well, that's not what Prabhupada said. That's wrong if somebody say. That's what I used to think. I can tell you, Prabhupada gave a whole purport, the purpose of creation. Purpose of creation, he says, to join Krishna in Rasa dance. I never thought Prabhupada would say like this, but it is in Bhagavatam, purport. So I was very happy to see that. Maybe Subhabilas Prabhu, you can post this. It is in 3.5.24. Bhagavatam. 3.5.24. The purpose of creation. Shobhayesa tada drishta. We don't have to discuss, but you can read it. The purpose of creation is to awaken the soul to join in Raslila. Prabhupada says very clearly, and he repeated very nicely. So I will end here. Anybody has any question or comment or reflection?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such detailed and clear understanding about Lord Shiva. Just to clarify one point, so Rudra tattva, the third tattva, which you explained, is the tattva which is Jiva tattva and which is can be under the influence of material energy.
Correct. Some people think like we can, the living entity cannot become Shiva's, Shiva in a sense, not Vishnu Tattva Shiva, not Mahesh, but Rudra Tattva, yes, they can become Shiva in that sense.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. So Krishna says that amongst the Rudras, I am Shiva. So how do we understand that?
Well, he said among the senses, I am the mind. How do you understand that? We all complain about the mind, but Krishna says, I'm the mind. Well, in sense, that power, the mind has so much power that represented by Krishna. Not the mind that tricks us, cheating us, that's not Krishna. Mind that overpower, that power, controlling power over the senses, that is Krishna.
Thank you.
So like,
Thank you, Prabhuji. I know it's almost 10:30, but if anyone has quick comments or quick questions, we can take maybe one or two. I think Prabir Prabhu wanted to say something. And then Saurav also wants to say something. So after Prabir Prabhu, he can go.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Prabhu, you said like,
Krishna.
Srila Jiva Goswami said like there are four things are very incomprehensible or inconceivable for us. You said two of them, Dhamma Tattva and Diti. What are the other two, Prabhu?
Is it the Dhamma Tattva, then Sri Vigraha Tattva, Guru Tattva? Sometimes we see Guru is sick, but Guru is liberated. Mahabhagavat is very difficult. Prabhupada had a liver failed. You know, Kalakanta Prabhu, I remember many years back, couple decades back, he was asking in the car, we are going to somewhere. He said, how to understand Prabhupada is Mahabhagavat, but yet his liver failed. So liver fail sounds like a material, but then Mahabhagavat belongs to spiritual. Well, this has to be discussion because it cannot be seen like this. Sri Vigraha Tattva and Shiva Tattva. Sri Vigraha Tattva is very difficult, as we mentioned. That, you know, if you see somebody is chipping the marble and making the beautiful deity, and now you say the entire material world, spiritual world, unlimited, everything in his body. How is that possible? Yes, it is possible. Both exist simultaneously. Nama Vigraha Sarup, Tina Ekarup, Tina Chidan, Tina Bhed Nahi, Tin Chidananda Rup, Mahaprabhu says. That's why faith is the most important component in our spiritual journey. Without faith, we cannot progress. Thank you, Prabhu. This is a wonderful question.
Thank you. Yes, Saurav Prabhu, you wanted to share something?
Yes, I wanted to ask one question. I've heard this statement many times because you were just talking about mind. So I've heard this statement many times from many like spiritual and motivational speakers. They say that be the master of your mind. But if Krishna is the mind, I don't think we can really master. So what do you think of that statement? Like control your mind, be the master of your mind.
I mean, you can take this, you know, Gaur Kishodas, this is just a joke, but it's a true story. Gaur Kishodas Babaji was walking in Navadvip, and then he saw some children were throwing rocks at him. And he turned back. He said, one more rock, I'm going to complain Mother Yashoda. You have no power. You may be supreme absolute truth, but you have no power. So he used to see those children like a coward friend with Krishna. And he gave a threatening to Krishna that you may be absolute truth, but you are controlled by Mother Yashoda. So if you think Krishna is the controller of mind, you can call Mother Yashoda. And she will control him. So you don't have to worry. If you want to go to that route. It makes sense?
Yes.
I think one devotee has asked a question on the chat box, and she's Prabhu or Mataji is mentioning that. So, what's the relationship between Jiva and Lord Shiva, and how we can show proper respect to Lord Shiva on a regular basis or a daily basis?
We both belongs to Krishna. We don't belong to Shiva. Shiva and the Jiva both belongs to Krishna. So when Jiva want to enjoy separately from Krishna, we are under supervision of Shiva. When we want to be under Krishna, directly serve him, then Shiva releases us to go back to our original. So that's the relationship. Now, if you say, what is the proper way to respect Shiva? Why do you want to respect Shiva? What is your conception? Your consciousness already coming from him. Now, the best part will be that we have to go back to our original consciousness, servant of the Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasa Anudaso, that as Mahaprabhu says. When we situate ourselves servant of the our spiritual master or Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamala Krishna, that time it will be proper respect to Shiva. If we are not interested to really serve Krishna, Radha Krishna, then nobody actually can respect Shiva in one sense. Because his consciousness, as I mentioned, I hope everybody, I didn't want to confuse it, because even when I was reading originally that Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur opinion and Jiva Goswami Pad's opinion, they are saying that when proper conception mixes with misconception, that conception, which is both, is Shiva. So when you say respecting Shiva, what do you mean respecting Shiva? His consciousness is already within you. How you want to see Shiva? He's an agent of Krishna. So if you want to serve Krishna, if that desire has to come from you, from me, Krishna is not going to create he can help us, but he is not going to force us to surrender to him. Just like Prabhupada says that you cannot point a gun at the forehead of a girl and say, you love me or I'll kill you. Because love is a free choice. That's the main purpose why Krishna does not intervene in our life. He can destroy the whole creation in a moment. But he does not. He's giving us a privilege, a chance to come back on our own to him. So when we properly submit to Krishna, that time is proper respect to Shiva. Because purpose of Shiva to let you go back home, back to Godhead. But if you want to stay here, you are borrowing his consciousness. How are you going to respect him? You are taking his position. You want to enjoy Maya. That is Shiva consciousness. I want to enjoy ice cream. I want to enjoy my car. I want to be on my own. I don't need to be subordinate to anybody. I'll do whatever I want. This is Shiva consciousness. There's 4 things in Shiva consciousness is there. Sangsha Bhava Aves, Guna Avatar, Kala Purush, Ahankar Sarup Prithak Abhiman. Ahankar Sarup Prithak Abhiman means I can exist by my own. Leave me alone. I'll buy my own house. I'll stay and do whatever I want to do. How is possible a living entity think like this? Because of the Shiva consciousness. So when you say proper respect to Shiva means you yourself position as a servant of Mahaprabhu, then you can respect Shiva. Otherwise, you are covered under his consciousness. What does it mean respect to him? So that's, I hope that helps her. Unless there is more question regarding that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Do we have time for one last question, Prabhu?
Sure.
So perhaps this is a follow-up question by Unsilas Prabhu, that when we say Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee, Vaishnavanamitha Shambhu, and we know that Lord Chaitanya came as the greatest of the devotees to show the world by his example. So how do we kind of relate these two things?
See, when Mahaprabhu, when Bhagavatam says Vaishnavanam Jata Sambhu, is not for actually devotees even. That word, Vaishnavanam Jata Sambhu, is not for devotees. Because devotee already respects Shiva as a great devotee. This word spoken by Sukdev Goswami for those impersonalists, for those misconception holder of Shiva Bhakta. That look, who you worshipping, who you thinking is the greatest. He's not the greatest by his own right. He is a servant. He's the greatest devotee of Krishna. For them to understand that they should come back to Krishna consciousness, they should surrender to Krishna, and Shiva will help them. For them, actually, Sukdev Goswami, if you look at that verse, Nimna Ganam Jata Ganga, who did he mention this for? He's not mentioning for us. We already respect Shiva. We know that he is the greatest personality. He is very dear to Krishna. There's no question. We don't have to doubt. We have a respect always. But he is speaking to those Shoibayat, those who are misconceived, misunderstood Shiva's position. Say, no, Shiva is a Vaishnava, greatest Vaishnava. He's not an absolute God. He's not a competition with Krishna. He's not an ultimate. For them, he's repeated this, Vaishnavanam Jatha Sambhu.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji,
Thank you.
for wonderful clarification. So I request all the devotees to please turn on their microphones and cameras if possible to express our deep gratitude for His Grace Pran Govinda Prabhu for giving such wonderful explanation about the Shiva tattva and helping us to understand this Lord Shiva properly and what to pray as well. I've shared those prayers and verses as well in the group, so you can read more detail later. But we'll chant 3 times Hari Bol for His Grace Pran Govinda Prabhu. So let's do it together. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Grace Pran Govinda Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhasya.
Yasya kripa
Sindhuvacha patitanam
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo.
Anantagari Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.